Are you waiting to build something big? That's the biggest mistake most people make. We refused to wait, we're in our 20s, and we built a home improvement company past $10 million. Not because we knew everything, but because we were desperate enough to figure it out along the way. If you don't want to waste decades playing it safe, and if you're ready to build success earlier and live stories worth telling and stay ahead of the curve, subscribe now. Let's get into the episode.
Today's guest, Chris Kamak, the relentless builder behind Kamak Estates and the guy who turns vision into concrete reality, literally. He's a serial entrepreneur who scaled his ecosystem from flip homes to multi-million-dollar communities, all while redefining what's possible from zero blueprint and pure grit. Chris doesn't just build properties, he builds people, empowers them to take risk, pushes everyone around him to level up. If you want to hear from someone who's living proof that you can create something massive from nothing, but drive and execution, Chris Kamak is your guy. Justin, shall we?
Appreciate you. Did I pay you for that? That was pretty good.
It's free advertising. Right here. Got that right. JP was cheesing the whole time.
Apparently it's a big deal we got Chris on the podcast.
Oh, it's a huge deal.
Wow. I don't know about that.
You don't even want to know how much it costs to keep him on you.
I don't know about that, but I would tell you getting me up was a big deal. It wasn't about getting me here. It was about getting me up.
I was blowing him up worse than his ex-girlfriend. He's here, though. That's all that matters.
Appreciate you, man.
The first time he canceled, though.
I did.
We won't talk about it, though.
Yeah.
We got to get right into it. I have a question right off the bat that I've wanted to ask. Sure. What's the biggest deal, or what's the biggest moment that you had that you were like, holy shit, this thing's going to work?
Wow. I think it was a couple things. I think one of the first ones that was eye-opening for me was when I started seeing people actually paying attention, right? And the impact that I was having on people. And so that was a big eye-opener, like, okay, this is working. This is bigger than a financial gain, that I started feeling like the impact that I was making in the community. As far as like the rental properties I was putting in developments, and knowing that this is a place that somebody's going to make memories forever, was going to be everlasting. In the notes and messages and emails that I would receive when I was starting to do these developments and revitalization of communities, it was starting to really touch me and realize that, okay, this is working. There was a couple situations that happened too, to be honest with you, early on, that it was eye-opening for me. I used to buy at the sheriff's sale a lot. And so I had bought a property at the sheriff's sale, and it wasn't that I didn't have enough money, but the way that the sheriff's sale is structured, you have to have a cashier's check for every property that you want to buy. So let's just say that each property that you want to acquire is $100,000. You could walk in with $1 million check, but you have to have $100,000 checks for every property you want to buy. And so I didn't know that because I was a rookie in the game. And so I walked in with a check that was enough to cover everything I wanted to buy, but I didn't have enough checks. Right. And so after the sale, the guy ended up buying an adjacent property that I had bought, and I wanted it. He knew I wanted it because I had bought the property next to him. So he was like, hey, how much you willing to pay me for it? And I'm like, I mean, you just bought it literally 30 seconds ago. I give you $500. And he laughed at me. He was like, $500? He's like, kid, I spent $500 at dinner with my kids. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a different game, right? And so from there on, man, it was like, okay, I'm not just making an impact in the community. I'm making an impact everywhere I go, that they start to see me as a real player, but I'm learning real life lessons that, man, now I'm the guy that spends $500 at dinner with my family. But I was like, man, like I was still eating, McDonald's at that time, right? So at that point, then I realized, like, all right, cool, Chris, if you can stay on the course of impacting people, the money will follow. So
yeah.
Was it originally for yourself at first? Like building that wealth? Like, did you come from a lot?
Yeah, it's a good question. So no, I'm not going to say I came from a family that didn't have anything. I would say that we've always had a good foundation. I would tell you the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is my family has never invested in my business ever, like not $1. And so this is really truly built from the ground up. The people that have been involved in this have been everyone outside of my parents and things like that. Is this something that I did for myself was a question. Absolutely. I never thought it would be what it is today. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that the work and the consistency kind of started paving the way. And I realized like, oh, this could be a lot bigger than what I anticipated. When I first started, I thought it was gonna be just like 1 or 2 rental properties. I was a guy that went in and did all the work myself because I had a prior business that didn't work out so well because I didn't do my due diligence. And so I always ensured and promised myself that I would put in the time and work to understand and appreciate cutting a check to someone else. And then once I did that, I started realizing like, okay, this could be a lot bigger than what it is now.
And the whole idea around like what we're naming the podcast episode for this is like why you can't save your way to a millionaire.
Yep.
Do you think you can save your way to a millionaire?
Absolutely not. So I think that's one of those things that a lot of people think the more money you put away, you're so secure. But, growing and trying to scale and get to where people say they want to be a multimillionaire, it actually comes with risk in putting more money in, right? And I like to call it calculated risk, right? Because what you're trying to do is not lose what you work for. But one of the beautiful things is if you have the blueprint, you can go do it again, right? So I like to invest in people, in processes, in systems. And if we could do those things, everything else can kind of fall into place. But no, you cannot save your way to a millionaire. Yes, you can have $1 million in the bank, but it's hard to continue to scale that.
They talk about like the key is mastery, right? And when you create mastery, you create leverage.
Yep.
And if you give a man a lever long enough, he'll move the world. Right? So real estate is like a big thing that I see. Like it's one of those things where you get 1 to 2, and I'm curious to follow it up with a question, but like what was the path to, hey, when my first 10 homes were the hardest, then it was my first 50 homes, then it was, because I feel like for me, it was like I needed $40,000 to buy into TSR.
Yep.
I got my $40,000. TSR was like, hey, we're not accepting any more, ownership opportunities. And then curbing rolled around, and just the luck, the time, good timing and preparation of having the 40 grand.
Yep.
Like the 40 grand turned into 100 grand, and then the 100 grand, and it just keeps tumbling
for sure
because of the leverage. Like what was that? What were the stepping stones for you?
So there was a couple of things. You asked 2 questions there. You asked the hardest part, right? And then what was the stepping stone? Are you saying financially?
I would say, or a number, not necessarily the financial dollar amount you had to put forward, but like, just looking back, like this mark in time was difficult for me to get to. And then this was the next one. This was the next one.
For sure. Yeah. So when I first started, I started off in rental properties. And so my first rental property actually came from a gentleman that I had met years prior. And so I was super impressed with him. And I was wondering, like, how did you build, at the time it was a $500,000 house. I'm like, how did you build this $500,000 house? He said, real estate. Like, what is real estate? I had no idea what real estate was, what an appraisal was, inspection, anything. And so I had made the comment to him at that time, was like, hey, man, if you ever sell any of your rental portfolio, I'll be willing to buy it. Well, to be honest with you guys, I didn't have the money. Like, there was no way. But I wanted to speak it into existence. So 3 years later, I still had the same phone number. Now I did have the money. And so he called me. He's like, hey, I want to sell a couple properties. What does this look like? So long story short, he called me. I went over. I asked him how much he wanted for it. He didn't tell me a number. He just said, why don't you go look at it and you tell me a number? So I did that, ended up buying that property for 20 grand. So that was what kind of catapulted my career in regards to real estate, because that house was worth 150 grand at the time. So it allowed me to leverage that home to continue to buy more properties. And then from there, we scaled into, we started buying portfolios on accident. So I remember going to this auction. It was actually a local auctioneer. And I had done the math to buy one of the multifamily. So it was 15 doors. I was just trying to buy one building, which was 4 doors. And I had run the numbers. I was like, okay, if I can get this one property, I'm good, man. And I got to the auction, and it was a rainy day. Only a handful of people showed up. And after I won the first bid, because they broke it up into 3 different buildings, after I won the first bid, I was like, oh, hold on. I might be able to buy all 3 of these. And I remember leaving that and wondering, how am I going to pay for this? Right? Because now I just committed to something and I'm like, oh, crap. Right? And so I've always been willing to take risk. But from there, I would leverage assets that I had. And so being able to leverage the equity out of some of these homes that I had early on put me in position to acquire a lot of those properties. Like that one we bought back in the day for $280,000, $290,000. And now that property is worth 7 figures. Right? So it's always being in the right room, but always knowing that you've done your due diligence and been set up with the right opportunities to be able to execute on the opportunities in front of you. So that was how I got started. And then from there, Then yeah, opportunities. It was a lot easier once you have a proof of concept. If people want to get involved, then it's a lot easier, right? Because you're not asking somebody to get involved; they're asking to be involved with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lot easier now, but it wasn't so easy when we got started.
Yeah, which that's fire too.
How did you get yourself into the position where you could capitalize on your first opportunity?
Yeah, so my story's a little bit different. A lot of people don't know this. So I came out of college when I went to Ball State. I went and worked in medical sales right away. And so I was putting away all that money because I knew I didn't want to stay in corporate America my entire life. And so with that, it put me in a financial situation to be able to invest in my first property. And then also from there, then I would take a lot of the skill sets, competencies, et cetera, that I was learning from corporate and instilling them into my own business. And so it made me be in a position to be able to scale because I understood what it took, just literally duplicating what I was learning from a Fortune 500 company.
I was going to ask you, I mean, how important are mentors?
Good question. I think life coaches are a little bit different, right? I'm paying for my first life coach. Never done that before. I consider it expensive. Understanding what they're charging, I think I'm going to charge 10x when I start doing it, which is crazy. But I would say mentors, I never had a mentor at all, not one. And so I can't speak to what they can do for you. What I could tell you is I don't think my career path and my growth would be what it is today if I would have had a mentor, because I would have been so worried about what they thought. When I was building this, it wasn't what everybody else thought. It was what I thought, based upon looking at the numbers and the analytics and the data, making sure that I'm not just out here rolling the dice, and that actually, again, it's a calculated risk. And so betting on myself was probably the best thing for me at that point in my life. Now, as I get into other things that you were saying, like putting money away versus investing, I think it's important to have a mentor in businesses that I want to get into. So my biggest thing is like starting to scale into owning other businesses that is almost an ecosystem that caters into the main real estate hub. And I'm okay to have a mentor. Like I can't go acquire a concrete company and not have a mentor, somebody that's been doing it for a long time. I know that's not my field, right? But I would tell you what got me to where I'm at currently. Me personally, I didn't need a mentor. But if I was recommending anybody else that's listening to this podcast, I would tell you absolutely it's worth paying somebody so you don't bump your head, because not everybody's going to be in a financial situation that they can lose it, right? So paying for somebody or a mentor is well worth the money.
You got Kev, right?
I do.
And
Shout out Kev.
Yeah,
Shout out
Shout out Kev.
We had one more seat, but Chris didn't want you on, Kev. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, Kev, you know better.
He's more expensive than Chris. But what, like, ultimately, like, I'm sure you want to be that guy you wish you had to Kev. Like, what are you trying to teach Kev, you know, even outside of business, that you wish you knew when you were 21, 23?
1,000%, man. So I think there's a lot. That's a loaded question. So Kevin's a unique kid, man.
Yeah, he is.
And I call him a kid. He's 23 years old, but he's been with me since he was 18. And so I've been able to see him grow and blossom into who he is today. Me and my wife and my kids, our trophies in life are based upon Kevin and other employees that we have, but we use Kevin as an example because he was the first employee. So Kevin, I coach him through life. It's not just business, as you said. I talk to Kevin probably 10 times a day. And so my biggest thing with him, and I've always told him, the moment that I stop talking to you and giving you feedback is the moment you know that you lost me, right? And I gave up on you. So as long as you're willing to learn, put in the extra mile and listen, right? I don't have all the answers, but everything you're going through, I've been through it, right? Yeah. And so instead of you bumping your head, and there's several things in life, his personal life, that I've coached him through. I'm like, Kev, like, I'm telling you, man, it ain't going to work out how you think it's going to work. And he's like, no, it's going to be fine. And then he calls me, he's like, man, I hate to tell you, man, you was right. Like, I told you, right? And I told Kev, I said, it's not about me being right, man. It's just not worth you going through the same things that I went through, right? Because you have a me, right? So with the Kevin or anybody else that's around me, my biggest thing is to see them win and not go through all the things and the hurdles that I've went through. So if I can streamline that process, if I can put them in a better financial situation than I was in, if I can open up doors to my network and expose them to things that I wasn't exposed to, then that's a win in my life. Because they're going to see things from a different perspective than I'm going to see it. Yeah. So they almost become an extension of you, right? And so that's what Kevin's become. Is truly, he's an extension of Chris. And so when you're talking to Kevin, you're talking to Chris. If you're talking to Chris, you're talking to Kevin. And so that's what I was looking for. Yeah. And that's what I've been able to do.
It's crazy, like, especially in business, it's what you do outside of, you know, whatever the professional field is that bleeds into the success you have.
Absolutely.
Like, always. And I think that's cool that you're doing a life coach. Yeah. If you don't mind, I know it's expensive, but, like, What do you think the biggest thing you've learned from him is?
Yeah, that even so, he scaled and exited multiple multi-million-dollar businesses. A lot of the personal growing pains that you go through, that you feel like you're just on an island, that he's gone through as well. And so having somebody, how I just told you, I'm pouring into Kevin, having somebody that can pour into you. Also being at a table, there's like 6 of us that are a part of this small group. We all have a verbal NDA, right, of the things that we disclose and talk about, whether that's financially in your business or personal. And so being able to hear some of the struggles and things that they're going through as well, and then being able to disclose those things to them and just say, hey, am I thinking about this right? Am I headed down the right path? Have you guys encountered something like this that you can coach me through? It's worth all the money, right? And so one of the things that he told me, because again, it was a very hefty financial commitment, a lot cheaper than some of the other ones I've heard. But it was still very hefty in my opinion, right? Because I've never done it. He said, commit to it for 6 months. Like, you're not going to see any type of gain from this in 6 months. And personally, I've seen the gain in 2. But it's exciting, man. It's a challenge, and you're committing to a full day. So we meet once a month, and it's from 8 a.m. to about 2:30, 3 o'clock. We've run over twice. But the network too, and the exposure that you get in that room, we don't
keep in touch too.
We do, yeah. So we got a WhatsApp group where we're just passing along information or things, motivational things throughout the day. A couple of the guys I actually talked to outside of there, we've done coffee and lunch, but we never pitch each other. So we're not in there pitching our business or anything like that, but your business pitches itself because you are the business.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I got to kind of even tie it back to like the topic itself. Like, it sound like, saving doesn't get you there, but investing does, whether it's in yourself or the business. What do you feel like, even as you grow, having a family and all that, like, do you feel like there are principles that you've learned, in your younger years that you can apply to business and life?
Wow. Principles that I've learned in my younger years. Yeah. I would say work ethic, right? That's something that you can't buy, right? You either have it or you don't. Also integrity, like, that's a big one. And my family raised me the right way, that sometimes the right thing is a hard thing, but it gets you where you want to go in the long term. And then I would tell you, ultimately, there was a couple of things in my life that happened when I was a kid that, like, it plays a big role in business for me today. And one of the biggest things is, so I was an avid athlete. My dad ran at Purdue University, multiple Big Ten records, et cetera. And he wanted me to be in those same shoes. So it was like, you're going to run track. And my whole life was built around traveling during the summers, going to Junior Olympics, competing against, the boxer Reggie Hearn's son, et cetera, where that was a joy for my father, right? He got to see it, but it wasn't my joy. And so one of the things that what I learned the hard way is, I never forget, I was in Virginia Beach and I was competing and I was running a triathlon. So I was on my 4th event, and the 4th event was the 400. And I was just burnt mentally and physically. And I remember telling my dad and my mom, like, hey, man, I'm not running. And they were like, yeah, we traveled all this way. You running. I was like, I'm not running, right? And my dad said these exact words to me. Yeah, you're going to run, and if you never want to run again, that's up to you, right? So I thought I was teaching him a lesson. And so I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. So I went out there, didn't give it my all, right? Just got through the race, and I quit. And I mean, when I say I could have been in my dad's shoes, could have been a Big Ten athlete, just had to be consistent, continue to follow through and execute. All the things that I do today is all based upon when I quit when I was a kid. Because I thought, again, I was teaching him a lesson of, oh, I'll show you, right? And now I'll show you is, I want to succeed in life. I want to win, and I'll never quit. So that's why when people think like, man, like, he always pivots, he always finds a way, and it always works out, because I'm not going to quit, because I've quit already. And luckily I did it at such a young age, because if I didn't do it then, I would have done it now, right? Because it's not always easy.
Was there a point where you almost did?
Never. Not in business.
No?
Yeah, never. Yeah, because that was a huge life lesson for me.
Yeah.
So never even crossed my mind. Not even something I consider.
I think it's also the difference, too, between finding something like you love to do.
Yep.
Like, I feel like you wouldn't wake up and work 7 days a week if you didn't truly love what you did.
Correct.
And if you're not, I tell guys all the time, if you're complaining working here, complaining working there, like, if you're not happy where you're at, like you're never going to find success, whether that be in relationships, business, like whatever it may be.
Yep.
You're never going to find success if you don't absolutely love 110% what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's
So,
vital.
what's your thoughts on debt? You love debt?
That's not a bad thing. You can't be over leveraged though, right? That's a big one. So I don't think that's a bad thing to answer your question.
They talk about good debt and bad debt.
Okay.
I just talked to my mentor the other day, and I said the one thing that I heard about it was don't finance your flex.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that you shouldn't be financing, like you should finance, whatever you want within, your means.
Mm-hmm.
If it's generating you money,
Yep.
But if it's not generating you money,
Shouldn't be financed.
we shouldn't be financing it.
Correct.
And I thought that was like an awesome rule of thumb to make sure you're like stable in your skis.
Yeah, no, I think 1,000% your mentor is spot on. And one of the biggest things is people want instant gratification. So they do finance their flex.
Yeah.
And they want everybody on the outside to think that they're doing well when it's just about me and the people that's in this room. You know what I mean? And ultimately, if you can avoid trying to finance your flex, because everybody goes through that phase if they don't have any type of mentor or anyone around them that they've seen it do it the correct way. Ultimately, they just want to be around people that they see maybe Thanksgiving and Christmas and make sure that they know that they're doing well.
Yeah.
So that's when they end up financing their flex. But I think he hit the nail on the head. Like, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JP always talks about it like internally versus externally. Like if you can internally be at peace, like with what's going on, that's like when you have the most amount of control versus grabbing these external things to be like, yeah, my dopamine's spiking. Or
That's
my,
when you win.
My happiness.
That's when you
spiking.
win. Yeah. And I've been there, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've never gone through that phase because I definitely have, right? I'm in a different place than I've ever been mentally and physically. One of the biggest things for me was I had to go through that phase of feeling like I won and letting everybody else know that I won. And I would tell you the biggest flex is the mental win, right? And then also knowing that you're in a position that you're winning when you don't even have to tell anybody you're winning, right? And everything else around you is going well. And again, that's my trophy. But I've been through the phase where I had to have multiple cars. I wanted to have the jewelry. I wanted to have that because that felt like the trophy because that's what you saw. Again, I didn't have a mentor. So I can speak to that very confidently of understanding, like, I didn't finance my flex, but I also still wanted to flex.
Yeah.
Now it's the opposite way, man. Like, I want to be the guy in the room that you don't know that has it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, I mean, especially like, again, personal and business, how have priorities changed? Because you have I'm not calling you old, man. You got experience. You got experience.
Yeah, you'll have these wrinkles one day.
He's cashing out his 401k here.
Yeah. Almost there, man. Almost there. How have priorities changed? And I guess even motivations as well.
Yeah. They've shifted drastically. I got to give my wife credit too, right? Because she's been very gracious, and you got to have a good partner on a road like this because it's not easy. No day looks the same. She likes to call it Poor Man Saturdays. You guys have seen me multiple Saturdays where I'm in a truck checking on job sites, making sure everything's good and still moving.
I've never even met her, and she's definitely a pimp because every time I talk to Chris, I'm like, this guy's living a fucking rock. Like, this guy's like, I'm like, do you even have a family? And he's like, yeah, I got 2 kids. What are you talking about? I'm like, dude, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Like, go fucking home.
Yep.
Worry about this light switch tomorrow. So she's definitely, you got to have somebody with you that's like down to ride though.
For sure, man. And that's why I said I got to give her credit because if she doesn't allow me to do that, it doesn't get us to where we're at today. It's not something I want to do forever, but I built this business based on, again, the integrity and the foundation of making sure that people get what they want and what we've committed to. And so if my guys can't be there, I'll be the first one to be there. But back to your question, JP, a lot of it, and I'm sorry, take me back to what you asked me. My apologies.
So I would, to simply put it, like, I mean, the priority at first was, get rich, like get money.
Yep.
Then it was, now I'm, feeding the community, helping people. I'm getting gratification in different ways. Like, how have your priorities changed?
Got you. So a couple ways, right? I said my wife has been a big involvement in that. So she's allowed me to do what I'm doing. I remember priority was to gain as much wealth as you could, acquire as many properties as you can. And it wasn't really focused on impact. So that priority has shifted drastically where now it's impact. It's generational wealth, making sure my kids are set up now. and making sure that they're not going to want for anything, because they shouldn't have to work as hard as I did. They shouldn't have to have what my wife calls a poor man Saturday. And that's not to be offensive to anyone. That's just her inside joke of like, man, when is enough going to be enough? When I try not to miss games. I'm not perfect, right? But I would tell you that it has shifted where it's not that important and I'm willing to miss a game. It's not that important where necessarily I can miss all the family functions, because at some point, to be honest with you, I was working 7 days a week, and that birthday party was happening for my niece and nephew. I'm like, they're going to turn 4 next year. I can get to that, right? Now it's more of a balance. Like, what does that look like? It's not perfect. What's perfect to people that work, 9 to 5s is, you're going to be at every single function because you shut it down at 5. It's not the reality of this. And so it's shifted to the point where my family comes first, business always comes second, and there's certain things that I just won't do because it interferes with that. So I would tell you, it used to be Monday through Sunday, I would get home 8, 9 o'clock at night. I would just work. Now it's more intentional where I at least want to be home 3-4 days to enjoy dinner with my family, so we can sit there and have a conversation. How was your day, Caden, Callie, Sarah? What's going on? What's new? Let's talk through it. So that's been a big shift for me, because that's what recharges my battery, is to see their joy, right? They enjoy having me there. And it's not that I didn't realize it, but one of the biggest things that happened in my life personally that changed everything was we had a COVID baby. And so I realized how many things I missed with my daughter growing up, because she's 8, he's 5, that I was like, oh my God, I missed that. And I didn't want to miss that again. So I was very intentional in making sure I shifted where I spent my time. Still not perfect. It's one of those things that you got to go through as a serial entrepreneur, but it's definitely got a lot better.
They talk about like building a game that you don't even want to retire from. They talk about building a game that you want to play forever.
This might be a clip, and I'm gonna have to.
It's clip farming.
I'm gonna have to get this from you, but the goal isn't to get married; it's to stay married. The goal isn't to get in shape; it's to stay in shape. Yep. So there's a difference between achieving and maintaining, and you definitely need to, again, switch those priorities, because like you've got it, and now you have to nurture what you've got.
Absolutely.
And I think, everybody that I've met, and I'm super young, so like a lot of people I hang out with, like they're having children, and everyone says like priorities shift to it's about them.
Yep.
Like it's all about
it
them.
is.
It's about the family.
It is. Yeah, and it's so worth it, man. Like that you can't give anybody that understanding until they go through it.
Yeah.
But when you guys have kids, you'll understand.
That's a little you.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
JP, I got one last question. You got anything else? Because I'm going to close it out with mine if you don't.
Well, I guess like great timing, because like what do you want your kids to learn from you? Because it's a weird, I was listening to a podcast, I forget his name, but he was talking about like, he had a really rough childhood, made it, and then he wanted his children to still learn the same lessons through going through those hard times while having the benefits that he didn't have when he was a child. Yep. So like, what do you want them to, take from you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think I want them, there's a couple of things I can tell you 1,000% I want them to have. And then I can tell you what would be nice if they pick up on. One of the biggest flaws I think that a lot of entrepreneurs or just business people in general make with their kids is they try to remove them from a lot of the bad things that happen in business, because they want them to feel like, hey, I don't want to bring it home. So they always say work, life are two different things. No, work is life and life is work, right? There's no such thing as them being disconnected. And so I try to bring that into my kids' life. Like I want them to understand when things go wrong, if a contractor, we're having a bad issue and it's not going how I anticipated, if there's a financial situation that I can explain to them and they want to understand. So I try to involve them in the business as much as I can, that a 5 and an 8-year-old can be involved. Yeah. They're they are exposed to way too much, but it's very intentional. Because now that I have people in my corner, that some of their biggest mistakes is they've owned multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, and their kids didn't understand what it took and some of the struggles that they actually went through. It just looked like it was all perfect from the outside. And so I don't want my kids to think that. I want them to know exactly what it took and what we had to do to get to where we're at today. So that's one of the things I would ask. And then also the work ethic. Like I want to make sure that they have the work ethic to get them in whatever career. Like my daughter is adamant that she wants to be a doctor. Perfect. Like just take this work ethic into that. And as long as you have this work ethic, you'll get through anything. You get through med school, you'll get through undergraduate, et cetera. And And so that's the biggest thing. And then I don't want them to follow my path. If this isn't the path for them, that's perfectly fine. This thing is self-efficient enough that it'll let off dividends for them for the rest of their life, or sell it, whatever they want to do. But ultimately, if they can get the characteristics of both of their parents, I'm good, man. It's a win-win for me.
I got one last question. Somebody's got $20,000 sitting in their bank account. Are they gonna just save it, stock it away in the 401k, and wait to become a millionaire? Or what's your one piece of advice? You're like, go do this right now.
Wow. No. The quick answer is no. Don't put it away in a 401k or a savings account. Invest in either coaching, right, or invest into something that you're passionate about. That is going to pay you out more than anything you'll ever receive in the bank. Again, calculated risk. There's a lot of subject matter experts. Make sure you do your due diligence. I'm going to tell you guys, there's a lot of coaches out there right now. Make sure that you're signing up for one that can actually get you to where you want to go. But no, I wouldn't put it away. What would you do, Parker?
I'm a firm believer now that with the skills I have, if I had 20 grand and I didn't know what I was doing,
Yep.
I agree. I would go get a mentor.
Yep.
Spend $5 grand on a mentor, take the 15, go build a business. And I think you'd be a millionaire in under 2-3 years time. Done. But I'm a firm believer that now with what I know, if you give me $5 grand in any city, I'll turn it into $1 million business in under 12 months. And we're going to film a documentary after this.
I love that. Hey, I got $5 grand for you, Parker.
Well, we appreciate having you on.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for coming, dude. I know we've been blowing you up, and we finally got you. So when this goes viral, me and JP will make sure to pocket everything and not give you any.
I appreciate you guys having me.
We're going to leech off of your fame.
Right on, man.
He's TikTok famous, Tim.
I'm not, Tim, but I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.